Right now, somewhere in the vast expanse of our interconnected world, a man is engaged in a seemingly ordinary exchange, seated beside a woman who has just posed him a question. It is a question that, on its surface, appears simple, innocent, even mundane. And he, in turn, has responded with casual indifference, perhaps even a dismissive wave of the hand, his mind already drifting to other concerns, other thoughts. What he remains blissfully unaware of, however, is the profound significance of this interaction. She has, in that briefest of moments, revealed everything. She has, in essence, presented him with the literal key to her innermost desires, a tangible symbol of her yearning, all meticulously presented on a silver platter, elegantly shrouded in the most commonplace vernacular imaginable. And in his failure to perceive the deeper current, he has missed it entirely. That man, the one who overlooked this critical juncture, might very well be you. But the information I'm about to impart will ensure that, after today, such an oversight will become a relic of your past, a memory of a time when the language of feminine desire remained an enigmatic cipher. Here lies a truth, a fundamental insight that will likely resonate with a touch of discomfort, a subtle sting of realization. Women, when it comes to the delicate intricacies of intimacy, almost invariably communicate in a manner that diverges sharply from their explicit declarations. I speak from a place of profound understanding, not merely through academic study and observation, but from the deeply personal vantage point of being one myself. My years dedicated to unraveling the nuanced tapestry of female communication have illuminated a stark reality. The way we signal our deepest desires bears little resemblance to the overt, unmistakable cues that most men anticipate. There is no flashing neon sign illuminating her intentions, no dramatic, tearful confession spilling forth, no scene lifted from a cinematic masterpiece where swelling violins herald an impassioned embrace. Instead, what transpires is an exercise in subtlety so profound, an artfulness so effortless, that it frequently bypasses the awareness of most men as inconspicuously as a whisper lost in the cacophony of a raging thunderstorm. Scientific research, notably a comprehensive study published in the esteemed journal Communication Monographs, has provided compelling quantitative evidence for this phenomenon. The findings unequivocally demonstrate that women employ indirect speech patterns with an astonishing frequency, utilizing them nearly 70% more often than men when engaging in conversations concerning topics that evoke emotional vulnerability. 70%. This statistic is not an anomaly, it is a powerful indicator. It signifies that when a woman harbors a desire for intimacy, for a connection that transcends the superficial, for something that touches upon her deepest vulnerabilities, she is overwhelmingly unlikely to articulate it with directness. Instead, she will meticulously code her message, dressing it in the most innocuous linguistic attire, the most harmless-seeming phrases imaginable. And if your attention is not keenly focused, if you are not attuned to the subtle nuances, you will inevitably respond to the surface meaning of her words, completely oblivious to the profound and deeply personal message that lies coiled beneath. Now, we arrive at the pivotal aspect that distinguishes this discourse from any prior exploration you may have encountered. I am not here to inundate you with an exhaustive list of 20 ambiguous indicators, nor will I suggest that you meticulously scrutinize her body language or attempt to decipher her energetic vibrations. My sole purpose is to equip you with the precise, two pivotal questions that a woman will invariably pose when she seeks to invite intimacy. Merely two. That is the entirety of the formula. And once these questions are revealed, they will become indelibly etched into your consciousness. You will find yourself recognizing them with startling frequency, not only in your current relational dynamics, but also in the echoes of past connections, in conversations held years ago that will suddenly, with the clarity of hindsight, make an abundance of sense. However, before I unveil these transformative inquiries, it is imperative that you first grasp a foundational understanding, a crucial piece of context. You must comprehend the underlying rationale for her recourse to questioning, rather than a direct articulation of her wants. Because this context, this deeper comprehension, will irrevocably alter the very way you interpret every single utterance a woman makes to you for the remainder of your life. Let us delve into a foundational aspect of human interaction that often eludes common contemplation, a subtle yet pervasive societal conditioning that shapes feminine communication from a remarkably early age. From approximately the tender age of 5 or 6, a young girl begins to absorb a highly specific set of social directives, a nuanced code of conduct that governs her interactions with the world. This rule, whether explicitly taught by caregivers or implicitly absorbed through the osmosis of cultural norms, can be distilled into a guiding principle. Do not be overly assertive, do not exhibit undue aggressiveness, and, crucially, do not initiate the first overt move. Maintain an air of approachability, a welcoming aura, but steer clear of any display that might be misconstrued as desperate. Express interest, but do so with a delicate subtlety, eschewing any overt display of obviousness. Does this sound like an exhausting endeavor? It is indeed an inherently demanding path. Yet, this is the inescapable reality of how the vast majority of women worldwide are socialized. The intricate dance of communication between genders has been a subject of profound academic inquiry for decades, notably by a distinguished linguistics professor at Georgetown University, whose extensive research has illuminated distinct patterns in male and female discourse. One of her most seminal contributions to the field was the identification of what she terms rapport talk. This form of communication, predominantly employed by women, is characterized by its focus on building connection, fostering emotional safety, and carefully gauging the emotional state of the other person before revealing one's own feelings. In stark contrast, men, according to her research, tend to engage in what is termed report talk, a style primarily geared towards the exchange of factual information and the efficient resolution of problems. Therefore, when a woman poses a question, it is rarely an isolated quest for a purely factual response. She is, in essence, seeking an emotional resonance, a reflection of feeling. She is engaged in a delicate act of surveying the emotional landscape of the interaction, testing the waters to ascertain whether it is conducive to venturing further into more vulnerable territory. This explains why so many men find themselves utterly blindsided when a woman abruptly withdraws or her interest seems to wane. From his perspective, the perceived trajectory of the interaction seemed entirely positive. She was smiling, engaging in laughter, and had even posed what appeared to be a series of amiable and endearing questions. However, from her internal perspective, she had meticulously extended herself, initiating the conversation with what she considered to be the two most vulnerable inquiries she could conceive of, only to have them casually treated as mere pleasantries, as inconsequential small talk. His response, perhaps a brief monosyllabic answer, followed by a swift return to the digital distractions of his phone, was interpreted not as a lack of engagement, but as a definitive closure. In that precise moment, without the need for further verbal articulation, she effectively closed the door on the potential for deeper intimacy. Now that you possess a robust understanding of this underlying framework, this fundamental operating system that governs her communicative patterns, it is time to dissect the first of these pivotal questions. And I must confess, when I reveal its simplicity, your initial reaction might be one of sheer astonishment, perhaps even disbelief at how unassuming it sounds. The inaugural question a woman will pose when her desire gravitizes towards intimacy is this: what are you thinking right now? I anticipate your internal monologue, your immediate dismissal. That's it, you might exclaim. That's the profound secret, she asks me about my thoughts. Yes, precisely. And the very reason you find this underwhelming is the exact same reason why countless men consistently overlook its profound significance. Because it sounds like nothing, like a fleeting moment of idle curiosity, a benign attempt at conversation. But allow me to illuminate the intricate workings of her mind when she articulates this seemingly innocuous inquiry. When a woman asks you what you are thinking, she is not merely engaging in superficial conversation. She is undertaking a deliberate attempt to gain access to your inner world, to your private sanctuary of thought and feeling. She is, in essence, requesting an invitation, a passkey. Contemplate this for a moment. She is effectively articulating a profound sentiment. I yearn to understand the landscape of your mind in this very instant, because my desire is to cultivate a deeper sense of closeness with you than I currently experience. This is not the domain of small talk. This is an overt act of emotional pursuit. One of the most respected figures in the field of modern relationship psychology, a pioneering researcher in interpersonal dynamics, refers to these moments as emotional bids. An emotional bid, in its simplest definition, is any conscious endeavor one individual makes to establish a connection with another. This can manifest in a multitude of forms: a gentle touch, a meaningful glance, a carefully worded comment, or, as we are discussing, a pointed question. Groundbreaking research has revealed a compelling correlation. Couples who actively recognize and respond to each other's emotional bids demonstrate an astonishing success rate, remaining together in a remarkable 86% of cases. Conversely, those couples who consistently miss or dismiss these bids experience a significantly higher rate of dissolution, breaking up in a substantial 69% of instances. The disparity between 86% and 69% is not a trivial one. It is a chasm, a profound difference that separates relationships destined for longevity from those that quietly wither and fade away within the confines of shared living spaces, leaving both partners perplexed and wondering about the elusive cause of their unraveling connection. Therefore, when she poses the question, "What are you thinking right now?" she is extending a lifeline, an emotional